What we've kind of referred to today as the kind of GX counter deck, I guess. He's playing lots of non-GX rather, Buzzwole, and then relies heavily on Shrine of Punishment.
Yeah, Shrine of Punishment, functional reprint of Desert Ruins, such a powerful stadium card from before I even played.
Yeah, way back in the day, me too.
And just being able to deal 10 damage to every Pokemon GX and EX in play in between turns is just a constant source of pressure that a lot of these decks can put on.
Speaking of EX and GX, Ojvind does have an unusual number with Zoroark Gardevoir. So not a deck that we've never seen before, but one that I think we didn't expect a whole lot of going into this tournament.
Well, you can actually be a little bit wrong there. With the resurgence of Rayquaza, being weak to Fairy type and having a good inherent matchup against Zoroark decks, they're like, well, might as well bring back towards All-Star from Oceania.
Fair enough. We have seen a bit of it here. So what do you think this match is going to look like as the game goes on?
It's looking pretty good for Tyler right here, if I must say. That Ultra Ball, getting himself either the Ranger and the Diancie, and then having the other one in hand, Strong Energy, Choice Band, and then N off that Instruct. Man.
Yeah, he just kind of has it all here. As we see, Ojvind is just sitting there with just a Zoroark. Hasn't taken a turn yet, and Tyler's just kind of going off.
Yeah, so one thing this Buzzwole, like Shrine of Punishments, Garboder deck does really well, it doesn't, I don't know if he actually even plays the Trash Lance, right? Or no, he only plays the Trash Lance. He doesn't play the Garbotoxin.
Right.
So there's no really ability lock. You're really just using it as a great late game attacker. And with Shrine of Punishments, it actually allows Buzzwole to take like perfect math knockouts on Zoroark GXs.
We see we are going to Ojvind's
Who
turn now.
needs Bridget these days? You can just draw Zorua double Ralts.
Yeah, no Bridget needed. Going to allow him to play an N, starting with 4 basic Pokemon in that opening hand. It's actually, can be one of the, I guess I'll say, downsides to Bridget.
He got N into this.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Man.
So one of the downsides of Bridget can be that you're kind of taking a turn off from, drawing any cards or fixing your hand. We've seen a lot of situations where Bridget is the only supporter, and it's kind of awkward. So looks like Ojvind is just going to be able to circumvent that a little bit and draw 6 fresh cards and have a full bench. Truly doing it all.
And he has the Tapu Lele for next turn. The only unfortunate thing is he started the Zorua, and that's an easy prize for this Buzzwole.
It looks like just confirming number of cards in hand. Tyler, we are on Tyler's turn now. No energy from Ojvind. First Remoraid hits the field for Tyler and Cynthia.
So a thing of note is both of these players are 3-0-1 here in this tournament. So we're 4 rounds deep. This is round 5. There's 4 more, including this one, to go. You need to hit 18 match points. So essentially, that tie, unless they get 2 more ties, is essentially a loss.
Yeah, it's tying in a tournament structure like this is really, really awkward because it basically just counts as a loss as Tyler takes a knockout there on Zorua.
Do you know what's not awkward? Tyler's hand, because it's amazing.
Just Cynthia's takes a big knockout, plays another Buzzwole. And again, Tyler is playing a deck without any GX cards. So you're not going to see, the Buzzwole GX that usually accompanies the non-GX Buzzwole. You're just seeing this. All one prize attackers, a stadium card that is going to prey on GX cards. And really just playing this deck is just kind of saying, all right, I understand what the format's doing. Now I'm going to try and just exploit it.
Yeah, and it's really actually kind of funny because Ojvind is actually playing the Zoroark Gardevoir, but he's also doing the 1/1 Octillery as well. It's something I tested a lot where, trade plus Abyssal Hand, you usually don't see those in the same deck, but it's pretty powerful if you do, because Abyssal Hand, very good against N. Gets you up to that 5, and Zoroark's really good when you have a good base hand size already, where you can pick and choose what cards you want to discard.
So why this deck specifically from Ojvind rather than a straight Gardevoir deck or one of the many Zoroark variants?
I think he's kind of conceding the fact that Zoroark is that good. It's like, I can't not play Zoroark at the World Championships. Like, this card's insane. Well, it kind of has a bad matchup against Rayquaza, so you kind of want to mitigate that a little bit, and he does that with Gardevoir.
Seems about right. We've seen, like we said, we've seen this deck before. Gardevoir, obviously a huge player. Zoroark, a huge player. The two have combined before, so let's see if it will get Ojvind to that day 2 that he's looking for.
And wow, this start from Ojvind as well is pretty sweet here. Having the Lele to get the Mallow for a rare candy with the Gardevoir in his hand, and then has a Sycamore for next turn.
Looks like we're going to see an Infinite Force there, putting some damage on that Buzzwole. Zoroark's in play, Gardevoir GX in play. This would be a great time for Tyler to have a Shrine of Punishments, but as you see, no Stadium in play.
Yeah, he could really punish Ojvind.
Yeah, I suppose so. Moving on. Tyler taking his some time thinking about what his next play wants to be. It looks like he has a Guzma. And after a really powerful couple of early turns, now he has to kind of slow down and think about what exactly he wants to do here.
This matchup is a little bit awkward for Tyler's deck because he is trying to counter a lot of like the big triangle metagame that we were talking about earlier. And Gardevoir is not really something that's positioned in that to where your Trash Lanch isn't really going to do much against him because he could Twilight GX later in the game. He does play a copy of Max Potion as well as Puzzle of Time, so he can kind of get that loop going. So it's really going to depend how much pressure he can put on this Gardevoir this early on. And 100 damage coming from that Sledgehammer is not too shabby.
Yeah, this can be one of the tough situations you get into when you choose to play kind of a counter deck or an anti-metagame deck, is that if you just get paired against the wrong decks, the decks you didn't prepare for, the decks you're not trying to counter, it can be pretty rough. That's not exactly what I would describe Ojvind's deck as exactly, because it has plenty of GXs, but it's definitely, again, not part of that triangle, and that could exploit a weakness in Tyler's strategy.
And here's one of my favorite cards in the format right now in Gallade from Breakthrough. Just two very powerful printings on this card. Its ability, Premonition, look at the top 5 for your range. You know, that has a pretty good combo with Trade from Zoroark or Abyssal Hand from Octillery.
It sure does. Gallade, again, one of the many pieces that just allows Gardevoir to be so good. You know, you're already playing the Rawl to just, all right, well, I can just, throw in a couple of Gallade as well. It looks like we have a 2-1 split of Gardevoir GX and Gallade.
Yeah, and Gallade, not too shabby of an attacker itself, attacks for a double colorless just like the Zoroark GX. And if you played a supporter card for the turn, it deals 130 damage.
Yeah, it also allows Ojvind to fight on a little bit different of an axis here. You know, it's a non-GX, right? It's a one prize attacker. It just kind of can try to counter Tyler's game plan a little bit.
The thing he will have to try to prepare for is this big Sledgehammer turn that's almost inevitable to come out. With Tyler playing 0 2-prize Pokemon in his deck, essentially every game, Sledgehammer will do 120 base one time.
At some point, yeah. You are going to play, his opponents are going to be playing fair games, unless there's some kind of spread or anything like that going on. They're going to be taking a knockout. No ways to kind of get past that. As we see Buzzwole and Trubbish join Tyler's bench, filling it up.
Yeah, really just having to use that Guzma, but he's probably going to bring up that Zoroark, just try to get some damage on it. Not really being able to take the knockout here yet. Choice Band does help a little bit, though.
You're going to see a big attack here. Tyler's going to consider his options again. That Guzma, putting that Zoroark in the active, kind of trapping it a little bit, but obviously a good attacker in its own right.
And it's going to be huge if Ojvind can find the Max Potion in his deck.
Tapu Lele, Wonder Tag. Going to find him whatever supporter he wants. Looks like he immediately goes for that Guzma.
No hesitation. Kind of just want to get that Zoroark out of harm's way. That's his source of draw power right now. And it's pretty strong paired with that Premonition from Gallade.
Absolutely, and we are going to see that Premonition right now that you mentioned it. Look at the top 5 and rearrange them however you would like.
It's a pretty good top 5. I think I saw a Puzzle of Time, Double Colorless, Guzma, then 2 cards you don't really want.
It's an interesting thing, too, is, in Pokemon in 2018, it's not like you're going to rearrange the top 5 and then draw them one per turn.
Yeah.
You're going to go through them. Oftentimes, you just want to set up the top one, you set the top 2, trade it into what he wants. And here is a Guzma going to target down that Diancie. Gallade coming back into the active position.
Yeah, this is definitely, if you're having to being forced to take one prize knockouts every turn, you might as well knock out the Diancie on the bench.
Yeah, this is actually...
It's a quiet threat.
Yeah, maybe a slightly unintuitive strategy if you aren't too experienced in the Pokemon trading card game. Is there are a lot of kind of support Pokemon that help you set up, and oftentimes throughout the history of the game, it's been better to kind of take care of those and then let the rest fall in its place. You know, oh, I don't want you to boost your Diancie. I don't want you to boost your Buzzwole with this Diancie. I'm just going to take care of it and deal with the threats later.
Yeah, it essentially saved 20 damage for the rest of the game from every fighting Pokemon's attack.
Exactly, and of course, being a Prism Star, Diancie actually cannot come back. It is in the lost zone, so we will not be seeing that return.
I'm still hoping for some card being printed that's just like, I'll get the card back from the lost zone.
It'll be pretty powerful in combination with Diancie.
All right, there's a Cynthia from Tyler here. He promoted that Trubbish as well.
6 fresh cards for Tyler, and did he find
Floatstone as the first card.
Got a Floatstone, a couple of Rescue Stretchers, and a Garbodor. I also think I see the Shrine of Punishments we were just talking about.
Yeah, but unfortunately, over in kind of just having the perfect setup right here to combat Tyler's deck, the Gallade active and the no strong energy on the Buzzwoles means Gallade might actually survive a Sledgehammer this turn, thanks to Diancie being knocked out as well.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see a Floatstone, a Retreat, up to the Buzzwole, replacing his own Brooklet Hill with the Shrine of Punishments and Sledgehammer.
And Gallade putting in a lot of work here. Don't forget the 2 Tapu Lele's as well.
Sometimes those don't seem like GXs. You know, they don't often get knocked out. You're not attacking with them. They're not doing big damage.
I mean, you know, sometimes they are.
All right, so 1 damage on everything on the board for Ojvind except for that Gallade. So we started, and he's going to play another
third
GX.
Tapu Lele. Gets that Mallow. Seems like it's eyeing that down.
Yeah, Mallow, strong combination with Zoroark, of course. Just search your deck, put 2 cards on top, and then discard a card from your hand to immediately draw them with Zoroark.
And yeah, we saw in combination turn 2, I think it was, like just getting the rare candy and just having your full setup.
I mean, a lot of the game right now, the format right now is how can I draw the best cards with Zoroark? Is that, you know, putting the best cards in my deck? Is that using Magcargo, Mallow? Zoroark just represents such a powerful card that decks are just completely built around it. And not just one, there's multiple decks.
One thing he also has options for later in the game if things get rough with the Shrine of Punishments is actually Parallel City himself. Get rid of a lot of the big damage GX Pokemon. Granted, though, I think he's trying to set up his board a little bit before he goes for that option.
Yeah, it would also get rid of the Shrine itself, so save yourself some of those knockouts. Looks like he does have the Parallel in his hand.
Yeah, he actually searched it out as well, opting to limit Tyler here. Gets rid of the Remoraid and the Trubbish.
Just kind of saying, these Tapu Leles aren't worth that much. I do maybe want to have a bench if I attack with Zoroark. See, double puzzle here. Max Potion and a single puzzle.
It would be interesting to see where the Max Potion goes. Looks like the Gallade opting like this is my attacker for the game. It's actually super hard for Tyler to knock out Gallade in 1 hit.
Yeah, that's another kind of the downside of playing this all single prize attacker deck is that single prize attackers usually aren't taking big KOs. You know, again, especially against something like Gallade, no weakness, something like that. It can be a real problem. And again, you know, sometimes, Tyler's certainly not out of this game, but sometimes the pairings just don't go right for you, and that's one of the risks. I know Tyler is no stranger to playing strange decks, playing rogue decks. So he knew the risks.
You're telling me, man. Did he double Rescue Stretcher there?
I didn't quite see if it was double. I saw him play the Garbodor, Shrine. I couldn't see if he played both of them there.
Well, he at least played one, shuffled back. Okay, yeah, he hasn't played it yet. I think maybe getting a Trubbish into his hand, or the Remoraid. Okay.
Yeah, so first stretcher is going to shuffle 3 in. Second one just gets the Remoraid.
All right. He really needs to dig for that rainbow energy here. Trash Lange, I'm sure there's enough items in the discard to knock out the Gallade here. So
let's see.
Rainbow energy, first card again. And he gets the Octillery for next turn as well.
All right, so Tyler taking a little bit of a stumble here. Maybe not the best matchup for him, but getting back into it thanks to the power of Garbodor. Looks like we're going to do a count of the items.
3, 4,
you
5.
can just hear them say, "Oh, it's enough." And Tyler say, "Yeah, okay."
There's like 3 rare candies in there. Like there's a lot of
multiple
items.
puzzles, and that's a knockout. Trashalanche. I'm doing a bunch of damage. I think they're actually going to count it up now just to be safe.
You might think, why is my Oranguru on the bench paralyzed? But it's really, he just turned it sideways, denoting that he used the ability for the turn.
Yeah, just trying to play clean, make sure nothing is forgotten about. There's a lot going on in a lot of these decks. All right, Gardevoir GX becomes active. It's trying to punishments in play again. Oh, not anymore after a field blower. So no more damage for those GXs on the board. And I think that was actually the second shrine that went down, which is all that Tyler plays.
Oh,
so he's actually not relying too heavily on it. And unfortunately, he kind of had to play it, but he knocked out his own stadium to play it. It wasn't like he bounced one of
I mean,
Everman's.
Brooklet Hill is probably too good of a card not to play in decks that play Octillery and Buzzwole. So
yeah.
I could definitely see that there. It's just
you have to make concessions somewhere.
That hand was not very good from Overend here. Just drawing a bunch of ends and Evo Sodas that he can't use. I don't even think he got any energy, right? He's just going to Twilight.
Yeah, he just played a Ralt. Twilight now, the GX attack from Gardevoir, really, really good. Back when the Trashalanche Garbodor was everywhere, this was a big way that the Gardevoir decks could beat it. Is just, I have, do I have 10 items? I'll shuffle them all back in. It looks like he has
and that's exactly what, no, I think he probably just has 10 items.
Yeah, he's leaving a candy at least. He might be putting in something else.
Yeah, the one downside to this play is you're filling your deck with stuff you don't need.
Yeah, it's very all-in, just kind of saying, I'm going to have a lot of rough top decks, although Puzzle of Time does fix that pretty well. But I just don't want you to... I just don't want your Garbodor to be turned on.
Eyeing down 2 draw supporters as well to try to combat adding more just useless cards into his deck as well.
There's also something to be said for, clearly he didn't take all of the items. I don't know how many he left, but you can kind of, do the math about, okay, well, he needs this many to knock out this. How many can I leave in safely? And then from here, Ojvind can play tighter too and kind of keep that in mind throughout the whole game.
All right, Twilight GX, such a powerful, but innocuous, GX move. You usually see, just these big knockouts and stuff like that. But then you have other ones that just draw 10 cards, like Rayquaza and Drampa. And then good old little Gardevoir just, I'm going to shuffle back some resources.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I think a lot of the GXs that have, some not weaker, but less damage-focused GX attacks usually have, Gardevoir GX can just attack for huge amounts of damage. It doesn't really need the GX, stapled on.
If it didn't have the GX, I still think it would have won Worlds last year.
GX is just a little bonus there.
A lot of the times you don't even use it.
And we're moving on. Tyler is going to play an N. 4 cards for him, 3 cards for Ojvind.
Yeah, this is the awkward spot because now how does Tyler really deal damage here?
Yeah, I didn't quite see how many items were left, but it's not like he can force Ojvind to put any more items on the discard pile besides maybe that one Floatstone off a Field Blower. And, Buzzwole has no energy on it. Let's see what they can put together here. It's like a Sudowoodo and a Trubbish on Tyler's side as well.
Yeah, the hand was not bad. Special Charge, getting back some of his special energies that he needs. Those are his main source of attacking. Does he actually play any basics?
Looks like he...
1 Psychic and...
1 Psychic, yeah. 4 Strong, 4 Rainbow, and 1 Beast.
Yeah, man. Wow. Abyssal Hand drawing 4 cards here for Tyler. A bunch of Pokemon and a Beast Energy. Not what you want to see right here. Really looking for, I think, Floatstone?
I mean, a way to move the Garbodor would be nice. I don't think he has a way currently. And it looks like, okay, let's see how much.
20 damage.
Just 20. Just the rare candy left, and we go back to Ojvind's turn.
All right. There is the lone trade. Puzzle Time Evo Soda, not what he's looking for. And
missing an energy attachment again, it looks like.
Yeah, his deck plays 8 energy, 4 fairy, 4 double colorless, but I think he's just seen like the double colorless and the fairy.
Yeah, he just does infinite force for 60 and passes back to Tyler. So that's definitely a freebie, I guess, turn on Tyler's side. Just all right, now I get.
He gets another turn to try to draw into Guzma or Floatstone.
Try to put something together. See an Ultra Ball here, Rainbow Energy, and Buzz will hit the discard pile. Just that Sudowoodo and Beast Energy in hand. Looks like we're eyeing up another Garbodor, but with the lack of items, that could be a problem.
And right now, Buzzwole is doing 80 damage, which is not enough to take the knockout on Gardevoir GX. He would need to attach that Beast Energy to actually take the knockout. But that also forces him to draw into the Floatstone only. So I think this gives him out of Guzma as well.
Looks like he did not hit it. He hit Field Blower.
Oh, 2 items in the discard.
All right, here, let's see.
Gets the Guzma and the Floatstone.
All right, so Tyler is right back into this. He has options here.
So you could try to take out that Zoroark. That's the main source of draw for Overend right now. And
yeah, what do you do in this spot, Jeremy? If you're in Tyler's shoes, what?
Well, I'm just making sure my math's right. Like, yeah, so the Buzzwole does not take a knockout. He would need another choice band. So taking out the main source of draw power for his opponent, like, that's really what you kind of want to do. And yeah, saving the choice band strong does a little bit more damage to the GXs later on. So,
and there's a knockout. Tyler at just 2 prizes remaining to Ervin's 3, and we knew that, it looks like he's actually going to go ahead and scoop him up. All right.
Yeah, he had a bunch of Evo Sodas in his hand, but really what he was looking for is like Glade Rare Candy or something like that. Really missing that premonition that he utilized so well early on in that game.
Yeah, so turning points in that game, I think we saw things be pretty even at first, and then it looked like Tyler was kind of having a rough go of it in the beginning, but I think turning it around with the knockout on the Glade and then keeping up immediate pressure was kind of what won him there. And just, I mean, Ervin, just his hand the past 2 turns was just nothing, and without that Zoroark, he couldn't draw. I mean, that was a good, I hesitate to say comeback, but nice solidifying the game by Tyler.
It kind of feels like Tyler's deck always plays the comeback game.
Yeah, you just kind of always, you're probably gonna go down. You're probably gonna look like you're losing, and then you win at the last minute.
I'll do like 70 each turn max, and then you have 4 prizes. All right, I'll knock out your fresh GX. Okay, I'll knock out this guy. Put 70 on. I'll knock out this other guy. Oh, that's game. All right.
Yeah, exactly. We see Tyler take a mulligan. So, what needs to go different for Aravind here? Obviously, he needs to draw a little better, maybe get some energy cards in his hand to attach, but do you think there's any kind of like critical moment that he could have played differently in that match?
Not really. Like, he just did not draw into his energy the times he needed him. He got that sweet turn 2 Gardevoir as well off that Mallow, but nothing really came of it. And then getting the Glade out as well, and then Tyler missing the knockout on the Glade with that Sledgehammer was insane. But the pressure that Tyler kept putting on, like, you have to think about it. He has to knock out 6 Pokemon against Tyler. That's a lot to ask for.
Yeah, so these decks that are playing a lot of non-GXs are all about trading resources. And taking a look at the prizes real quick.
So we saw 2 Buzzwole on Tyler's prizes, but we have Ervin's 1 Glade in his prizes, and a Puzzle of Time and a DCE as well.
He's not going to be happy to see that Glade prized. Don't think he's going to have access to that for the majority of the game. He's going to find out that it's prized right now off of this Ultra Ball.
And that's the risk you run playing these one of like tech cards. Is when you need them in these certain matches, you just kind of get unlucky. Oh, look, shaking his head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did I pass it? No, it's not in here.
No, just not in.
This game's going to be a little bit harder.
All right. Guess I'm going to have a different strategy this turn. Ultra Ball comes down. Tapu Lele Wonder Tag. I imagine he's going to get that Bridget there. Put 3 basic Pokemon onto his bench.
Bridget's such a powerful, powerful supporter card, and it actually wasn't really that powerful when it first came out. Really just unlocked its potential with Tapu Lele.
Yeah, the ability. The problem is that a eighth turn Bridget is not where you want to be. A lot of times, a second or third turn Bridget just doesn't really do anything. So, the power of Tapu Lele to just immediately find it on the first turn and play it right when you need it is huge.
Yeah.
Especially as you consider things like Ultra Ball act as virtual copies of Tapu Lele. I mean, it's that Tapu Lele has changed the game in a lot of ways.
All right, and there's another Waltz coming down on the bench. He has that fairy energy. Oh, can we see a Draining Kiss?
We're just going to see a pass back.
Oh, it's first turn.
The first turn after all. Maybe in the future.
I'm just hyped, all right.
All right, Floatstone on the Oranguru. Dancy on the bench. Trubbish on the bench. Cynthia from Tyler.
Yeah, and we see him not play that Shrine of Punishments. That's because he only plays the 2, and he wants to maximize its damage. He doesn't want to play it and not deal damage to his opponent's board.
And then watch it get field blowered away or paralleled away. The point I was making earlier about Tyler's deck is you're looking at this deck, and it's clear that he is taking 2 prizes when he knocks out your stuff, and you're taking 1 prize. But the kind of deeper level to that, too, is that when...
Man,
there's so many
sorry to interrupt you, but that was
buzzwole.
an insane Cynthia. I don't know if you guys were listening to Josue before, but Cynthia's amazing. Not playing at all. Drawing the Buzzwole and the Strong Energy, along with the Floatstone from before, gets the knockout on that Ralts. 1 energy down already.
We see a single Puzzle of Time, but followed by a Zork, and then a Professor.
This hand would be insane if he had Glade in the deck.
Oh,
insane.
Wow. Yeah, he'd immediately be able to get the Glade out. Looks like he's still going to play the Ultra Ball, double colorless, and N, hitting the discard pile.
He might go for the Octillery here. I'm not sure.
Those options
Maybe
are...
even another Zoroark.
Yeah, Octillery, Zoroark. It looks like he's just looking through his deck, making sure, okay, is it actually prized?
You might think, like, well, why doesn't he get the Gardevoir GX? Because he has Rare Candy in hand. It makes sense, right? Well, he has no Fairy Energy. That Fairy Energy he had got knocked out with that Ralts. So he's going to need to try to cobble together something here to even have an attack this turn, because Gardevoir GX can attack for a double colorless.
And it looks like he does take the safe route. Ultra Ball finds Octillery. I don't know what else is in his hand, but he will be able to Abyssal Hand for at least a few cards and hopefully kind of shore this game back up. Looks like, yeah, just Field Blowers. Cards that he can definitely play.
Yeah, he's actually committing the double colorless to the active. Needs to draw Fairy Energy, Gardevoir GX. No.
That's a miss, yeah.
He drew the Floatstone, though. He could have gone into something. Let's see, maybe Zoroark? Try to spin the wheel again?
It's possible at this point he just gets the Gardevoir and accepts that he can attack with it.
That is true. It's
just putting it on the
a
board.
pretty beefy GX Pokemon.
Yeah, it looks like that's what he's going to do. Just Ultra Ball for the Gardevoir. He has the Rare Candy in hand. Not really much else he can do in that spot. I guess he could have Zoroarked and then tried to trade, but looks like he's just going to take the route that allows him to put the GX into play.
Yeah, I think the worst thing would be if he knocks out another Ralts.
Yeah, so unfortunately having to use that double colorless just to retreat some of that Tapu Lele, and this sort of play is just kind of saying, okay, I'm not really advancing anything. I just don't want to lose more.
Yeah.
So Tyler is in the driver's seat here, and let's see what he can put together on his turn. Choice Band on the active. There's that Shrine of Punishments right after the second GX comes down.
What an insane hand here from Tyler. Shrine really just putting pressure on Ervin's side of the field, and Buzzwole just dealing a lot of damage right now.
Sudowoodo coming down. What is Sudowoodo's role going to be in the matchup for Tyler?
It's not very important in the matchup. There's no way for Ervin to really take knockouts on the Buzzwole with Zoroarks, and that's not really his plan anyway. He wants to fight this battle with Gardevoirs and Glades. But it does kind of just, it's a free card he could play. Like, I'm going to do this so you can't draw a Tapu Lele and get out of a bad hand.
It definitely does not shine here as much as it would in the kind of standard Zoroark decks that are relying much more on Riotous Beating.
But it is pretty good because against standard Zoroark decks, in combination with Diancie, they can't knock it out if you have Sudowoodo in play.
Right.
And anytime they can't knock out Diancie, you're winning. Like,
absolutely. 110 damage on the Tapu Lele. Looks like we're going to see an Abyssal Hand refilling Ervin's hand before an Evo Soda getting that second Zoroark GX.
yeah, but again, that puts essentially like 2 free prizes on the board here.
Yeah, again, just like game 1 where you see Ervin's hand just lacking energy. You know, he has all these Pokemon and really nothing to do with them.
Yeah, he is down 2 double colorless and a fairy energy right now. And looking at his list, he actually doesn't play any Floatstone. Or no, he plays 1 Floatstone. So 1 way to retreat this Tapu Lele. Otherwise, he would have to manually retreat it.
And here's a Mallow, again, works in perfect combination with Zoroark GX's trade ability. Going to be able to find whatever he wants here. Didn't quite see what he took, but we will see that momentarily, I'm sure.
I think one of them was probably Max Potion and maybe double colorless, and even he might even start attacking with Tapu Lele right now.
Yeah, regardless of the specifics, it's definitely going to be something that allows him to get out of the situation involving the Tapu Lele. There's a Field Blower that was not one of the cards, and Max Potion, no more damage. Double colorless on the Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele aggro, 60 damage, and we're going to Tyler's turn.
Do I call him or do I call him?
You did call. You saw in the future.
All right. Now, Tyler, this is what Tyler wants, though, right? Like, he wants his opponent to play all these resources to save a Tapu Lele, to deal 60 damage with his 4th energy left in his deck, and just really not really disrupt Tyler as much as he could.
Yeah, I'm no expert on Tyler's deck, but I'd imagine that any play that any of his opponents make that don't really advance things, don't build up a big attacker that can mow through a couple of Tylers, don't really matter to him. Obviously, the Tapu Lele is dealing damage. Healing damage is not ideal, but I think he's prepared to fight through most things as long as they're not, like you said, disrupting him or just something he can't exactly deal with.
We see Regirock from Celestial Storm. I believe the attack name was Enhanced Stomp.
Something like that, yeah. Not a card that you see all the time. Again, new from the Celestial Storm expansion.
It's a pretty sweet card, though. Enhanced Stomp, if it has a Pokemon tool attached to it, does 20 more damage. So 40 damage base. Strong Energy, 60. Diancie, 80. Choice Band, 110. Guess what 110 does? It knocks out Zoroarks.
Absolutely. Again, a non 2-prize attacker. Just a single prize there. Only requires 1 energy attachment. You can get it with Brooklet Hill. Just a great addition to this deck.
There we see Tyler off the instruct. Just has a handful of supporters here. Plenty of options for him.
He does decide to go with the maximum value supporter of Professor Sycamore, getting rid of an N and a Guzma.
And it does draw into some energy. And the second Shrine of Punishments as well.
Strong energy on that Regirock.
And 100 damage coming down. Chooses not to play the Shrine.
Why do you think he would choose not to play the Shrine there? Is there any particular reason?
I think it's because he's looking ahead at his board from his opponent's viewpoint. He's like, man, Parallel's pretty good against me right now. I will, if I'm putting my opponent on playing Parallel next turn, why would I waste the Shrine?
Yeah, definitely. You want to. We saw Tyler, despite winning game 1, he actually lost the Stadium War, as we call it, with having to play his Shrine first, and then he just eventually ran out of them. So waiting for Ervin to put Stadium into play before he can kind of bump it is really nice. Maybe a play that not every player would see. Sometimes you just want to attack. You just want to do as much damage as possible. But Tyler, no doubt, been testing this deck, playing it quite a bit.
All right, and there is the first trade, getting that Mallow. So second puzzle time and a Fairy Energy.
So a lot of options here with the puzzles, as always. Considering just attaching to the Tapu Lele, but just going to go ahead and do the safe thing, I suppose, which is just retreat
So this requires him to get an energy with the Puzzle of Time. Because with just the Fairy Energy, Infinite Force to 60, which still doesn't take the knockout on the Buzzwole. There's no like Shrine of Punishments for regular Pokemon.
For the GXs. Yeah, it does commit him, as you see, taking that double colorless that's in the discard pile. He's just kind of deciding what he wants to pair with it. It looks like he's going to go ahead and take Mallow.
Yeah, he could just be like, well, next turn I'm going to have to Puzzle Time again, so why not?
You might as well try. But it looks like we're actually going to see a Twilight here.
All right, this is actually pretty good because you put all these good cards in your deck, and you're like, okay, well, I'll just search it out next turn with Mallow. I'm fine.
Yeah, it looks like he's just wants to, again, put item cards back in to lessen the Trash Lance damage, and then also, like you said, just try to fill his deck with, if there's any remaining slots left over, good cards, such as maybe 3 copies of Puzzle of Time.
It's not too bad. Yeah, remember, he has that 4th one prized.
Yeah, so he's going to have access to those again. And the Parallel City coming down, so that's 10 cards. Again, leaving that rare candy that's pretty much useless at this point.
Yeah, opts not to get back any energy.
Yeah, interesting play. Just I guess it's deciding, okay, I need to make my deck more consistent, and I need to try to deal with the Garbodor threat.
All right, Twilight GX, again, super powerful, and now his deck's filled with all those Puzzle Times again. But Tyler's still just like, you haven't done anything to me.
Yeah, again, I mean, we just talked about advancing the game state, right? And that Twilight GX is a good attack, and it's going to matter in a turn, 2 turns, 3 turns, but not right now. And still doesn't put any pressure on Tyler. Tyler doesn't, isn't out of resources. It's just allowing him to kind of have another turn. I wouldn't necessarily call it exactly free, but I don't think he's too unhappy to see that either.
Yeah, and we see some conversation going on here. He just wants to double check. It's fine.
Yeah, not sure what's...
Choice Band coming down on the Regirock. Guzma bringing up the Zoroark. Folks, that is a knockout there. Enhanced Stomp. Regirock taking the knockout here. Still holding that Shrine, too. You don't need it.
Yeah, it's just like what you said. You actually called this exact situation. So I think the question now is the Choice Band is both, doing more damage because of the attack and because it's a Choice Band, not a card you see all the time.
Yeah, Regirock a little better than, our good old friend Kyle Sukovic's Zygarde EX that he really wants to show up.
Why you got to make it personal like that? It's going to be a knockout. 3 prizes remaining for Tyler. Still all 6 prize cards for Ojvind here.
Yeah, it's rough, man. This deck is looking pretty sweet in a field of, like, Zoroark.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you choose to play a deck like this, you roll the dice, and looks like I saw a tweet from Tyler earlier that said, 3-0 or 3-0-1 or something. Deck seems pretty good, just very confident, just not having a problem at all throughout this tournament. Not sure what he ended up tying against, but better than a loss. And trying to get his 4th win here, 1 step closer to day 2 here in Nashville.
Yeah, so like I said before, he essentially needs 3 wins. He could win 2 and then tie the next 2. It's something people could actually do as well, like 4-0-1, win the next one, and then get paired up against some 5-0-1s and 5-0-2s and just ID into day 2. It's definitely a little bit risky, though.
Yeah, this is kind of a weird... Like, if anything goes wrong in that...
Like, if you get paired down, then you just have to play it out.
Yeah.
You lose, and you lose the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. I don't suspect... I don't actually know the numbers, but I think since we've switched to this World Championship format, I think most people have just kind of, been willing to play it out. Not worried too much about it.
It does look like Ultra Ball finds a Zorua from Ojvind's side of the field. Still just, like, he's the one playing from behind when Tyler's deck literally, like, plays from behind.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he has 6 prizes remaining. Tyler has 3. He does have a little bit more of an offense here. Gardevoir GX with double colorless and Fairy on it. He has 1 Zoroark. But
you have to think, like, Is there enough time for Ojvind to take 6 prizes before Tyler takes his last 3?
Well, we'll see. It's going to depend on how these next few turns go on.
Oh, and the Parallel City finally came down. Now Shrine of Punishments is looking pretty good here.
It's going to be a Parallel City Infinite Force knockout. Ojvind takes his first prize of the game here, going down to 5. And now Tyler has to think about, all right, let's run these numbers. So we have all these damage modifiers.
Oh, there's the Beast Energy on that too. Man, that's so much damage.
Beast choice. We got the DMC, of course.
130 base right now.
Does he have another energy? Doesn't look like he has it in hand. Doesn't look like he has really... He has a lot of cards in hand, field blowers and things like that. Couldn't quite make all the cards out.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even count swing around math.
Yeah.
All right, so base 80, Diancie 100, and then 50 damage from the energy, so 150, 180 with the choice band. So with the 10 damage on the Gardevoir, he would need 2 heads. If he gets a strong energy, then he would need 1.
All right, let's see if we get to that point. Broken Hill finds a Remoraid. Cynthia here. 6 new cards for Tyler. No other attackers up. Potentially going to put it all into this Buzzwole.
Yeah.
3 energy. Try and make an attack. It's going to depend on what the contents of his hand looks like after this Cynthia.
Yeah, that Parallel City having to discard that Trubbish was pretty big, even though there's not much items in Ojvind's discard right now. It's still... Oh, there's the strong energy.
All right, Tyler
Does he
now
commit?
being tempted. Strong energy has been found.
This is essentially what Pokemon is, guys. Flipping coins to take the high roll knockout on your opponent. That is so much damage from a little tiny Buzzwole.
You can see Tyler actually been playing pretty fast in this game, but right now he's kind of thinking a bit. All right, what exactly do I want to do? Have some options. Ultra Ball will be the first one.
Yeah, so he does have a few options. He can get another Buzzwole, another Trubbish. Oh yeah, he prized 2 of the Buzzwoles, didn't he? And ran through a few of them.
Yeah, he actually Ultra Balled a Garbodor away there and then got a Trubbish. I'm not sure what the contents of his deck or hand are, but maybe would have done that in the reverse order if he could.
He might be forced to strong the active. Instruct. Gets the Octillery strong energy. Not bad, not bad. All right, here we go. Swing around. Tails. He needs a heads right here. Tails.
And Tails.
Oh, no. That
right,
Gardevoir GX is 20 damage away from being knocked out. Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking for Tyler there. Had to take the risk. Look at all those damage. Look at all those dice. Still not enough to knock out the Gardevoir.
But this is the opening Ojvind needed, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you just needed something to go wrong for Tyler there to get back into this game. You know, certainly not out of it, especially after a turn like that from Tyler.
Ooh, puzzle time off the top. That's not bad. Could we see maybe Max Potion? Max Potion Fairy Energy would be very good right now.
Yeah, he has one in there from when he did it on the Tapu Lele, I believe. It could.
Well, he might have Twilighted it back.
Oh, correct.
Yeah, he might be forced to puzzle time for the Fairy Energy Mallow, and then Mallow into the Max Potion, and then like trade into it.
Yeah, it's always a lot of decisions when you're playing, you know, Puzzle of Times and you're Mallowing. It looks like Fairy Energy and Mallow are the cards he's going to take.
Yeah, and this is the last hurrah tournament for Puzzle of Time as well. Getting rotated, and then the newly banned card in Expanded.
Yeah, Puzzle Time, very, very powerful card. One of the cards that I think probably needed to be banned in Expanded, was kind of doing some degenerate things. In Standard has not done anything crazy, but has been a role player the whole time.
It's been probably one of the best cards in Standard.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so we are seeing that Mallow. Those 2 cards set aside. They're going to be the ones that go on top of Ojvind's deck.
Yeah, it's very Mallow's a very awkward card just to play with. Like, you search out these 2 cards and then shuffle the rest of your deck, and then place them down, then put them on top. And most players don't even put them on top because they're gonna just trade into them anyway.
In this case, Abyssal Hand.
Even better.
And it was Max Potion, so that those flips meant even more now. There's a attached Fairy.
Yeah, Max Potion, Fairy, Infinite Force does enough damage, more than enough to take the knockout here. And with not a second Buzzwole, that means Sledgehammer might not even be a factor this turn.
Yeah, no second attacker up even. He has that Trubbish with the Choice Band, but no Garbodor, and I saw him discard 1 last turn. Again, no Buzzwole. I don't think there's a way to retreat. I don't see any Floatstone or anything on board, so it's going to go ahead and send up that Oranguru Ultra Ball off the top.
Wow, that's not what you want to see, though.
He does have an Artillery, so he will be able to draw a few more cards. Debating whether he wants to play it or not.
It'll be interesting to see how many items are in Ervin's discard, but there can't be that many. He literally shuffled back like 8 of them.
Yeah, I think when he shuffled it, when he Twilighted, I think the only one in there was Rare Candy.
No, that was game 1. There was a couple Ultra Ball maybe.
Okay.
But and then I think he played the Max Potion, played Puzzle a time.
Yeah, he's definitely
like
played a few since then. All right, Rainbow Energy on the Trubbish. Cynthia coming down. 6 cards for Tyler. What is he looking for here?
Garbodor, number 1. Way to Retreat, number 2. Floatstone is really the only option. He could kind of take a turn off, but then, again, you're not really advancing your own board state, so let's see. Yeah, nothing here. Does have Rescue Stretcher.
Yeah, he can rescue. There is a Garbodor in his discard pile, one at least, so he can rescue that back. But no way to retreat the Oranguru.
Yeah, no way to retreat. Might just have to kind of wiggle his way into getting these last 3 prizes, because this Gardevoir is looking pretty strong right now.
And I think, is it fair to say that I think in these decks, this sort of thing can happen, just late game awkward hands, usually at the hand of end, but sometimes just because, and then your opponent has all these big high HP Pokemon that you just can't deal with. It's kind of like if you let your opponent get to a certain point in the game, when you're playing one of these counter decks, you can't quite get there.
Yeah, if you don't stick a Shrine, or if you don't get enough early chip damage with Buzzwoles or Regirocks or even Gardevoir or Garbodors, then your late game, I think it really just matters against, like, that he's playing against Gardevoir, is because the reason he's losing right now is because Twilight GX.
Oh, absolutely. If this were just a normal game.
Like, if this was a regular Zoroark deck with, like, a secondary attacker, he would already won, honestly.
Yeah, Garbodor would have gone off immediately, and he would have focused a lot more on Garbodor too. That would have changed the landscape of the game entirely. Looks like trying to figure out what to do with this Rescue Stretcher.
Yeah, so we got the 3, and then Brooklet Hill for the Buzzwole right away. Kind of just shortcutting. They are running out of time very quickly here. 2 minutes left to go in this round.
Garbodor hits the field. There's a Field Blower getting rid of that Brooklet Hill.
And just anything you do to try to instruct. No Floatstone there, though.
A couple of supporters and a Buzzwole. We go ahead and take a look at the discard pile. Just make sure, I know what resources you've used, how many items are in there.
And it's awkward because there is very little time left, but you want to make the best play possible, and you need to be able to do that by knowing what your opponent has left.
Yeah, so of course, if Tyler were, if time were to end before this game ended, Tyler would actually win the match. He is up a game. The unfortunate scenario is that Ojvind wins the game in the next. I guess unfortunate for Tyler, fortunate for him is that he'll win a game in the next couple of minutes, and then we'll end up with a draw, which is at 2 draws is basically as good as a loss. So really not what either of these players want. But I think Ojvind has to know a draw is the only way that I can deal with this here. I'm not going to win a full game. I don't think that players can actually see the clock, but he has a good idea of how much time is left.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. He is going deep in the tank right now. Guzma's up the Garbodor.
Looks like he's going to go ahead and attach a fairy to the Ralts for free.
And thanks to Secret Spring.
We haven't really seen come up in this match yet.
Well, yeah, he never really had fairy energies in his hand to use it.
The first time he's had 2, I think. Gonna see some trading.
Abyssal Hand trade. Maybe he decks himself out.
All right. Abyssal Hand has been used. Both trades have been used.
He doesn't have the knockout here. Not hitting double colorless energy or puzzle times or... Yeah, he can't win.
Oh, he just go ahead and concedes, actually.
Yeah, he knows time's almost done. And when you see, like, I still have to take 4 prizes, and that's at least 4 turns. And I only get 2 turns? That's not going to happen. And he sees the writing on the wall, and Tyler coming out, kind of just surviving at the end for that win.
Yeah, Tyler is going to advance to 4-0-1. Still a little bit of work to do. Again, players have to have 6